deep within their soul, your person understands that the time for hiding has come to an end. They can no longer shield themselves behind carefully constructed illusions or maintain the deception that has kept them separated from their authentic truth. The falsehoods they have spoken to you, the half-truths they have told themselves, all of it has become an unbearable burden upon their conscience. This weight grows heavier with each passing day, pressing down upon their heart until they can barely breathe beneath its crushing pressure. They are acutely aware, with a clarity that pierces through every defense mechanism they once relied upon, that eventually they will need to face you with complete honesty. There will come a moment when they must stand before you, vulnerable and exposed, and speak the words they have been too afraid to voice. This inevitability haunts them, yet it also offers them the only path forward toward genuine peace. At this particular juncture in their life's journey, they find themselves trapped in a state of complete emotional numbness. It is as though all feeling has been drained from their being, replaced by a vast emptiness that echoes through every chamber of their heart. Since the moment you departed from their life, this void has expanded, consuming everything that once brought them joy or meaning. Your absence has created a vacuum so profound that nothing else can fill it, no matter how desperately they try to distract themselves or find solace elsewhere. They are drowning in misery, suffocating beneath waves of regret that crash over them relentlessly. The aching sense of loss they carry is not something that diminishes with time, as they had hoped it would. Instead, it seems to intensify, growing more acute as days turn into weeks and weeks stretch into months. Each morning they wake with the realization that you are not there, and each night they lie awake, tormented by memories of what they have lost through their own choices and actions. The most painful aspect of their current reality is the inescapable knowledge that they are the architect of their own suffering. They cannot blame circumstance or fate or anyone else for this separation. The responsibility rests squarely upon their shoulders, and this awareness only serves to deepen their anguish. To know that you caused your own pain, that you drove away the very person who meant everything to you, this is a special kind of torture that gnaws at them constantly. Their thoughts return again and again to everything you gave them, everything you were to them during the time you shared together. They remember with crystalline clarity the way you offered your love so freely, without conditions or reservations. You did not hold back or measure out your affection in careful portions. Instead, you poured your heart into them, giving generously and openly, trusting them with the most precious parts of yourself. They recall how you stood beside them during their darkest hours, when they needed someone most and felt utterly alone in the world. You were their anchor when storms threatened to pull them under, their light when darkness seemed overwhelming. The way you constantly illuminated their existence, bringing warmth and brightness into spaces that had grown cold and dim, this remains one of their most treasured memories. To them, you are far more than a fading memory or someone they once knew. You are not a chapter that has closed or a story that has ended. You are their true love, the embodiment of everything they have ever wished for in another human being. You represent their ultimate wish fulfillment, the answer to prayers they spoke both aloud and in the silent depths of their heart. No matter how they might try to move forward or convince themselves otherwise, they cannot replace what they had with you. No one else can occupy the space you once filled in their life. Within them exists a deep reservoir of emotions that remains undrained despite the passage of time. Love, respect, and profound admiration for you continue to flow through their being like an underground river that never runs dry. These feelings do not diminish as they reflect more deeply upon their mistakes. Rather, they grow stronger, more intense, more undeniable with each moment of honest self-examination. They have come to understand, through painful experience, that there is truly no one else who can compare to you. They have looked, perhaps unconsciously, for someone who might fill the void you left behind. But everyone else falls short because no one else embodies the unique combination of qualities that made your connection so extraordinary. The kind of love you shared, the depth of understanding you reached together, the spiritual and emotional intimacy you achieved, these things cannot be replicated or found elsewhere. Letting you go stands as the single greatest mistake of their entire existence. When they made that choice, when they allowed you to walk away or pushed you out of their life, they never imagined the devastation that would follow. They believed, with tragic naivety, that they could simply move forward without facing the consequences of their actions. They thought they could avoid the reckoning that was coming for them. But reality has a way of catching up with us, and the truth has descended upon them with crushing, undeniable force. They can no longer escape or deny what they have done. The act of misleading you, of speaking lies instead of truth, was not merely a betrayal of your trust, though it was certainly that. It was also a profound betrayal of their own soul, a violation of their own integrity and values. Now they see this with painful clarity, as those scales have fallen from their eyes. They have finally, after all this time of resistance and denial, reached a place of recognition. They understand now that the choice to deceive you, to walk away from your love, to allow pride or fear or confusion to dictate their actions, these choices represent the worst decisions they have ever made in their life. There is nothing else in their past that compares to the magnitude of this error, no other mistake that has cost them so dearly or caused them such lasting anguish. The universe has a way of balancing its scales, and justice, though sometimes slow to arrive, eventually makes itself known. The tables have indeed turned in a way they never anticipated. What they once inflicted upon you is now being visited upon them with precise symmetry. They are experiencing firsthand the very pain they once caused you to endure, and this experience has become their greatest teacher and their deepest punishment. They feel the sharp sting of rejection piercing their heart daily. They know the ache of silence, of unanswered questions and unspoken words hanging heavy in the air between you. They endure endless nights of wondering, tossing and turning as they question whether they will ever be granted the opportunity to make amends for their transgressions. The possibility that they might never have the chance to make things right haunts them relentlessly. They cannot escape the memories of how they wounded you, how their words or actions or choices caused you suffering. These recollections play on an endless loop in their mind, and life has given them no choice but to sit with these uncomfortable truths. There is no running from what they have done, no hiding from the consequences that have caught up with them at last. A profound sense of embarrassment and shame washes over them whenever they reflect upon the words they once spoke or the actions they once took. Looking back with the clarity that only hindsight provides, they cannot comprehend how they allowed themselves to treat someone they genuinely loved in such a poor manner. What possessed them to behave so carelessly with something so precious? How could they have been so blind to the treasure they held in their hands? The heartbreak they currently experience is magnified and intensified by the complete absence of contact between you. The silence that exists in the space where communication once flowed freely speaks with a voice louder than any words could ever convey. It torments them daily, this wall of quiet that stands between you, this gulf they created through their own foolishness. They replay moments from your shared past constantly in their mind, like scenes from a film they cannot stop watching. They remember times when laughter came easily between you, when joy was your natural state of being together. They recall instances when you offered comfort during their difficulties, when your presence alone was enough to soothe their troubled spirit. They see again the countless ways you brought happiness and light into their life, lifting them higher than they had ever been before. Now these beautiful memories serve only to highlight the vast emptiness they feel in your absence. Each recollection is bittersweet, treasured yet painful, because it reminds them of what they once had and foolishly let slip through their fingers. The contrast between then and now is almost too much to bear. They wonder constantly about your current state of being. What occupies your days now? How does your heart feel? Have you found peace in your life without them? Do thoughts of them ever cross your mind, or have you released them completely from your consciousness? These questions circle endlessly through their awareness, though they sense something that brings them both comfort and additional pain. They perceive, through some intuitive knowing that transcends physical distance, that you have indeed found a sense of peace. Your energy has transformed, shifting to a higher vibrational frequency that makes you radiate with an inner light they can feel even though they cannot see you. This high vibration energy emanating from you is magnetic and alluring, drawing attention and positive experiences into your orbit. It is something they can sense from afar, and it speaks to the growth and healing you have undergone. They see or intuit that you are now at peace, genuinely living your life without them in it. While this realization should perhaps bring them some measure of comfort, knowing that you are well and thriving, it instead serves to make them feel the weight of their mistakes even more acutely. The fact that you have found happiness and equilibrium without them underscores what they lost when they let you go. To them, you appear almost untouchable now, elevated to a place they cannot reach. You are radiant in your independence and strength, glowing with self-possession and inner confidence. Meanwhile, they remain trapped in the aftermath of their poor choices, stuck in a place of regret and longing while you continue to ascend to higher levels of being. They remember clearly that you were once a happy, light-hearted, and genuinely joyful person who embraced life with an open heart and optimistic spirit. Your natural state was one of peace and contentment, of finding delight in simple moments and approaching the world with warmth and trust. But they also recognize, with deep remorse, that their actions disrupted that beautiful peace you had cultivated within yourself. They introduced unnecessary drama into your world, bringing conflict where there should have been only harmony and love. They created chaos in a space that had been tranquil and balanced. This realization is extraordinarily difficult for them to accept because it forces them to acknowledge their role as the destroyer of something precious and pure. They must now face the uncomfortable truth that they were the one who brought turbulence where calm should have reigned. They injected discord into a connection that could have been characterized by understanding and mutual support. They created problems where none needed to exist, allowing their own issues and insecurities to poison something that could have been wholly beautiful. Through this painful process of self-examination, they have come to understand with absolute certainty that you deserved so much better than what they gave you. This truth cuts deeply into their heart, leaving wounds that may never fully heal. Yet this recognition also serves to open their eyes in ways they had previously refused to allow. They had been blind by choice, but now they can see clearly, and what they see both humbles and devastates them. They perceive you now as someone far stronger than they ever realized when you were together. You are a person who made the difficult choice to protect your own energy and well-being, who had the courage to walk away rather than continue enduring pain that served no purpose. This strength of character, this ability to prioritize your own healing over a dysfunctional connection, commands their deepest respect and admiration. Despite all their regret and sorrow, their admiration for you has only grown during this time of separation. They think often about the grace with which you carried yourself even when everything was falling apart around you. They remember the dignity you maintained when circumstances would have justified bitterness or retaliation. They are humbled by the strength you demonstrated, by your ability to remain true to yourself even when it would have been easier to compromise or settle. They recognize now that they lost not only a romantic partner when you left their life. They lost a confidant who understood them deeply, a healer who helped mend their broken places, and a source of unconditional love unlike anything they had ever known before or are likely to find again. This loss is truly irreplaceable, and it has taught them a painful but absolutely necessary lesson about honesty, respect, and the critical importance of cherishing those who matter most to us. The value of treating people well, of speaking truth, of honoring the sacred trust that exists in intimate relationships, these lessons have been branded into their soul through the fire of consequence. They will carry this wisdom forward, though they mourn the high price they paid to acquire it. Now they find themselves in a place of hoping, perhaps even desperately praying, that somehow, someday, they will be granted the opportunity to make things right between you. They dream of a future moment when they might stand before you and finally speak complete truth, holding nothing back. They imagine opening up fully about their lies and mistakes, taking complete responsibility without excuses or justification. They long to show you through their words and actions that they have learned from the pain they caused and experienced. They want to demonstrate that they are no longer the person who hurt you, that they have grown and evolved through the crucible of suffering they created for themselves. Whether or not they will ever be given that chance remains uncertain, hanging in the balance of forces beyond their control. But one thing is absolutely clear and certain in their heart, and this truth remains unshakable regardless of what the future may hold. They will never forget you. The memory of who you are and what you meant to them is permanently etched into their consciousness. They will never stop loving you, for the love they carry transcends circumstances and distance. And they know with complete certainty that they will never find another person who compares to you, who measures up to the standard you set, who touches their soul in the way you did. Hashtag the surrender to truth. No matter how many times I attempt to create distance between myself and this profound connection we share, no matter how often I instruct my heart to block out these overwhelming feelings and simply move forward with my life, the fundamental truth remains unchanged and undeniable. My heart invariably finds its way back to you, as though drawn by an invisible force I cannot resist and ultimately do not wish to resist. This return does not happen in the same manner each time. It is not a simple repetition of a familiar pattern. Rather, each time my heart turns back toward you, it does so with greater depth, with increased strength, with more conviction and certainty than the time before. I have attempted to convince myself repeatedly that I can ignore what I feel, that I can simply push these emotions aside and continue on as though they do not exist. But honesty, that most uncompromising of teachers, forces me to admit otherwise. The more I resist this pull toward you, the more excruciating the experience becomes. I have discovered through painful trial and error that fighting against what I feel only multiplies my suffering. I realize now, with a clarity that should have come much sooner, that what truly hurts the most is not the love itself. Love, even when unrequited or complicated, is not the source of my deepest pain. What causes the greatest anguish is the act of holding back that love, of trying to contain or suppress what wants naturally to flow outward toward you. To run from this truth, to deny what exists so powerfully within me, only creates additional ache within my soul. It is like trying to dam a river. Eventually, the pressure becomes too great, and the water will find its way through regardless of the barriers erected against it. Therefore, instead of continuing this exhausting fight against myself, I have chosen to surrender to what I already know in my deepest being. I care about you in a way that defies measurement or quantification. There are no units that could adequately express the magnitude of what I feel. You occupy my thoughts constantly, residing in my mind during every waking hour and inhabiting my dreams when I sleep. This is the purest, most honest truth I can possibly offer you. There is no room for pretending anymore, no possibility of sugarcoating or minimizing what exists within me. I cannot hide it any longer, nor do I wish to try. The thought of you lingers persistently in my quiet moments of solitude, when I am alone with nothing but my own reflection to keep me company. You are present in my busy hours as well, when I am occupied with the demands and distractions of daily life. You appear in my dreams at night, sometimes bringing comfort and other times highlighting the distance between us. You even inhabit my fears, my anxieties about vulnerability and the possibility of loss. When I allow myself to imagine clearly what I have been searching for all along, when I picture the qualities I most desire in a partner, when I envision someone whose heart feels like a safe harbor where I can rest, I realize with stunning clarity that it is you. Every attribute I value, every characteristic I have sought, every quality I have hoped to find, they all converge in you. My journey through life has presented me with many different paths to explore and many faces to encounter. I have accumulated countless experiences, each one teaching me something about myself and about human connection. Some of these experiences were marked by kindness and brought moments of genuine joy. Others were harsh and difficult, leaving marks upon my spirit. Some encounters left scars I genuinely believed would never heal, wounds that seemed too deep to ever fully close. Yet throughout all of these varied experiences, through every connection I have made and every relationship I have explored, only you managed to reach my heart in a way that felt completely genuine and authentic. There was no pretense with you, no need to perform or present a false version of myself. Only you connected with my soul on a level that transcended superficial interaction or temporary attraction.